Welcome to the Ernie Chambers Show.
Brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and neutrals, everybody recognizes this as the period of politics because it is the year when a president will be elected, and I'm sure, as I am, that my name is Ernie Chambers, that Kamala Harris is going to be the next president of the United States. Trump and that fool that he has for a vice presidential partner, who refer to women without children as cat ladies, who have made such a mess of their lives and are so miserable that they want to make everybody else miserable, they are riding, I think, for a fall. And instead of making fun of her name, as Trump tries to do now, he's going to find out when it's over, instead of Kamala Harris, it was Calamity Jane. Calamity Jane didn't take mess from anybody. So those words are by way of an introduction to what I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to hold up something which you cannot really read or see, but what it is, to let you know that I really got it. It says, Omaha, Nebraska, Doubletree Hotel Executive Meeting Center, Omaha Downtown, 1616 Dodge Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68102, Thursday, April 5th, 2007, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Special guest ticket. What I am going to talk about is Donald Trump and his little bit of going head to head or side by side, even though after I did this, he did not contact me. Here's the letter that I got. Please, to Ernest W. Chambers, this is what he wrote. Please be my personal guest to hear my real story on Trump wealth creation from my son, Donald Trump Jr., and also be trained by 4 self-made multimillionaire experts. Donald Trump Jr. will share with you our family's most successful wealth-creating secrets and strategies. As my special VIP guest, I have enclosed 2 VIP personal guest tickets, and you will receive a special gift, a complimentary edition of Trump-Think Like a Billionaire, unquote, at the conference. The suggested tuition fee of $149 is waived for you. I get in free. At this once-in-a-lifetime financial conference, you will learn how to, number 1, find income-producing properties the Trump way. 2, slash capital gains tax to 0 when you sell real estate, stocks, or your business. And some of these are shaky things just within the law. And recently he got outside the law by falsifying financial records in order to get loans. But to continue, slash capital gains tax to 0 when you sell real estate, stocks, or your business. 3, lower your current tax bill up to 31%. 4, negotiate the Trump way. 5, protect 100% of your personal assets from all lawsuits, liens, levies, bankruptcies, or even a divorce. And he knows something about divorces. 6, get government-approved investments guaranteeing 9.6% to 32% return. 7, learn the Trump way to cash in on the new $1 trillion booming foreclosure opportunity in 2007. Creating wealth the Trump way. Turn this special invitation over to see the location, date, and so forth. P.S. As at the Omaha 2007 Creating Wealth Summit, you will learn what others have paid over $20,000 to learn. Please RSVP soon, as this event will be sold out. That was my entree. When Trump decided to run for president, I had said, because he was so nonsensical, so hither, thither, and yonder, and making no sense, that I felt he was a plant planted by himself, because he was really a closet Democrat, and he could woo simple-minded Republicans to vote for him. Then he would turn on them and destroy the Republican Party. So I wrote him an open letter, because my choice for president at that time was Hillary Clinton. This, again, you can't read it, but it is the documentation from the U.S. Post Office that the mail that I overnighted to Donald Trump was sent, and this is the message that was returned to me by the post office. Your item has been delivered to the mail room at 11:50 a.m. on November 4th, 2016 in New York, 1022. And this is the letter that was overnighted, and the one which Donald Trump's people signed for, so he actually got it. And attached to the front of that letter was this little item from the Lincoln Journal-Star, dated February 18th, 2016, Capitol Days. It's a little item that they print about things of interest that occur in the legislature. Quote, Donald Trump is an undercover Democrat, unquote, Omaha Senator Ernie Chambers said during Wednesday debate. He called the Republican presidential candidate a bomb planted to destroy the GOP. Quote, and that's why he has so much fun, unquote, Chambers said. This is the letter. And attached to the front of it, I made a small copy of that VIP invitation I got, the other material that I read to you, plus the letter that is addressed to me that this material was sent in. Regarding open letter, Mr. Donald J. Trump, Trump Tower, 725 Fifth Avenue, New York, 10022. Regarding this open letter. Dear Donnie, I hope you don't mind my using the diminutive / familiar, unquote. I do not expect my name to ring a bell with you, but as you can see from the items attached to this page, we go back a ways. Not as far back as you and young Bush on the bus, but far back enough. And at this time, that young guy named Bush was interviewing Trump, and Trump stated, and it was recorded, that when you're famous, you can do anything you want to women. You can grab them by their private parts, except he used the vulgar term, and do anything else you want to do. And when that came out during Trump's campaign, he was very upset. So that's why I said he and I go way back, but not as far as he and Bush on the bus. Quote, as the days dwindle down to a precious few, unquote, it is time for me, as your self-appointed ambassador without portfolio, AWOP, to write this letter. In keeping with the so-called October surprise craze, and for some reason it seems to always happen around October, and the following month, November, is the actual election, something pops up that nobody anticipated, and it has the power of shifting the direction that the election seemed that it would go. So that's why I'm referring to it. In keeping with the so-called October surprise craze, exacerbated by the Comey fiasco, I am contributing my own version of a November surprise, 3 exclamation points, which is this open letter to you. In keeping, mirroring the extraordinarily unique nature and style of your campaigning, the format of this letter is by terms helter-skelter and even a little bit jumbled and jivey, He was making those nonsensical statements that had no beginning, no ending. It was like a snake, you didn't know which was the head from the tail. Understandably, you may wonder why in the world would a man who is an unapologetic supporter of Hillary Clinton be simultaneously the self-appointed ambassador without portfolio of her opponent? Here's why. In view of the fact that I want her to be president, I wanted her to have an opponent whom she could beat and thereby waltz, polka, rumba, samba, or otherwise dance her way into the White House. Don't bail out yet. I stated several times on the floor of the legislature, whose proceedings, gavel to gavel, are broadcast live on public television and streamed on the internet, that I am the, quote, unofficial, unappointed campaign manager, unquote, for Donald Trump, and that my goal is to see him become the Republican Party's nominee for president, with an emphasis on, quote, nominee, unquote, since my choice for president is Hillary Clinton. I presented my case in advance of Nebraska Republicans being seized by a moral imperative to join the Trump lemming march to the sea, preparatory to boarding the cruise ship Trump Titanic. Then I dropped the bombshell contained in that little newspaper clipping of my wanting to be your unappointed, unanointed ambassador without portfolio. Based on developments, my first stated goal has been realized. You are the nominee. I'm confident that the second, your destruction of the Republican Party from within, is on the verge of fruition. When the destruction is completed, you will have turned a common cliche upside down. Instead of saying the captain goes down with the ship, we'll be able to proclaim in this instance, all thanks and praise to you, Donald Trump, the ship is going down with the captain, and that'll be the end of the Republican Party. And once again, the man who put the I in egoist will have confirmed his paramountcy and demonstrated the uncanny ability to eclipse whatever is going on around him. Not too shabby a consolation prize. The purpose of this correspondence is to encourage you to, quote, stay the course, unquote. Quote, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, unquote. That is susceptible of two interpretations. It could mean that they will double down, as you are wont to do, and redouble their efforts, even if it seems to serve only to make matters worse. Or they get going in the sense of scrambling to their feet and running away, which you are not wont to do. And want, in this case, is spelled W-O-N-T. Lest you misperceive or misunderstand, based on what I've written, my intent, let me make it clear by borrowing a famous passage from the bard Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. But with this essential, significant difference, I come not to bury Donald Trump, but to praise him. Yes, to praise him. All capital letters. Of course, skeptics and cynics may try to get their dig in by invoking an equally famous phrase from poet Alexander Pope's An Essay on Man, which was, damn with faint praise, unquote, thereby insinuating a hidden motive on my part. I assure you, Donnie, that my words are as sincere and trustworthy as those you have been uttering throughout your historic political sojourn. In the interest of clarification, praise is not synonymous with agreement. I extend praise because you are what you are, as sly as a fox, slippery as an eel, unreliable as a used car salesman, unstable as water, volatile as the stock market, unpredictable as the weather, and to this code, as even a casual observer will note, you are true. That means to being unstable. Take an extreme example. People may say of Judas Iscariot, quote, although he betrayed Jesus, he can be given credit or praise for having hanged himself in remorse. But since I like to put the cork in the bottle, use your situation as an example. And this is a large headline that appeared at the time. GOP distant as Trump praises Putin. Are we in sync? Trump's 3 theorems are on political expediency. People have heard of Einstein's theory of relativity, Newton's laws, gravity and motion, Occam's razor, which is to use the shortest, most direct route to get to your point, and Machiavelli's The Prince. But this is the first time Trump's theorems will have seen the light of day. I doubt that you yourself have formulated them in the manner that follows. Having carefully followed and analyzed your words and actions to the extent that such things are susceptible of analysis and formulation, I have undertaken the task. I don't know whether you arrived at these truths or theorems through study and conscious thought, or if they just came to you unbidden like photosynthesis, or in the way that water flows downhill and seeks its level. In a nutshell, here is the essence of each of the 3. The first theorem, fool all. Second theorem, lie, dumb down. Third, promise them the world. 3 playbooks. Each theorem follows the playbook of a well-known personage. Abraham Lincoln's playbook was you can fool all the people some of the time. Hitler's playbook, Mein Kampf, lie and dumb down. Satan's playbook, promise them the world. First theorem, Lincoln's playbook. Honest Abe famously said, "It is true that you may fool all the people some of the time. You can even fool some people all of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all the time." The supporters comprising your base fit within the second clause. You can fool some people all the time. And you have done so, and are doing so masterfully. Regardless of what you say or do, no matter how outlandish, preposterous, untrue, or unintelligible, your base unthinkingly and uncritically remains steadfastly with you. Fool all has been achieved. You can fool all of them all the time. The second theorem from Hitler's playbook, quote, all propaganda has to be popular and has to adapt its spiritual level to the perception of the least intelligent of those towards whom it intends to direct itself. The great masses of the people will more easily fall victim to a big lie than to a small one. Summarizing, tell big lies and appeal to the least intelligent. That's what you do, Donnie. You once declared that you love uneducated people. Did you by chance have that second theorem of Hitler in mind? As king of hyperbole, that means overstatement, and the superlative, you have regularly unleashed some whoppers which your base thrives on like a hungry lion devouring red meat. A sub-theorem might be, quote, if you're going to strike out, do so swinging for the fences rather than trying to bunt. For the record, this is not to say that you are a Nazi or that your ideology is Nazism. although some have made such an allegation. My point is merely to show the similarity between your approach and Hitler's is inescapable. Examples: promise everything to everybody at a cost to nobody. 2. The United States can sustain itself as a self-contained economic island on this planet. All these are lies. 3. Reopen obsolete Rust Belt manufactories to produce goods for sale only on the U.S. market and give millions of good high-wage jobs to everybody who wants one, and there's no reason to raise the minimum wage, which is too high anyway. These are things that Trump promised. 4. Never detail how anything is to be accomplished. It simply will be, period. Don't mention Congress, because you'll do all of these fantastical things yourself. Theme song of the second theorem. I fling untruths into the air. They fall to earth, I know not where. And furthermore, I do not care. All in war and politics is fair. That's what I put in this little letter so Trump would have something to say if he chose to. And finally, in the fairy tale, Rumpelstiltskin was a deformed dwarf who could spin straw into gold. Using that paradigm or example, you could be dubbed Trumpelstiltskin due to your ability to spin a glaring untruth into an authoritative sounding assertion of incontrovertible fact. He's lying like that today. This year, this month, today, if he speaks. How do you know when he's lying? When his lips are moving. Lying and dumbing down have been achieved by you, again, in a masterful manner with your base. Third theorem, Satan's handbook. Promise them the world. From St. Matthew, the 5th chapter, beginning with the 8th verse. Again, the devil taketh him into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and saith unto him, talking about Jesus, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then saith Jesus unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. The byline could be, fall down and worship me, for that is what happened here with Trump. Here is a headline from the Washington Post. Trump thrills Christian audience with promise. The audience included leaders and founders of many segments of the Christian right, the evangelical movement that began in the 1970s under people including the late Jerry Falwell. Among those present and involved in the program Tuesday were Focus on the Family founder James Dobson, who is no longer with that group, former Christian Coalition head Ralph Reed, and evangelist Franklin Graham, son of evangelical icon Billy Graham. Again, you handle these holy people, so-called, like a maestro. You know they by and large are actors. They forgot that your entertainment activities equip you to spot frauds a mile away, and such they are, and you spotted them. Check this out. Despite the fact that your conduct, open and notorious, has been everything but the conduct of a good man, you mocked the disabled. There was a reporter that Trump didn't like, and he had one of these arms that was paralyzed, and Trump was saying, yeah, that's him. He's up there like this, can't even write with his pencil. He did that publicly. Trump did. Let me get back to it. You mocked the disabled. You have used profanity in public. You've incited and condoned violence at your rallies. You've boasted and jested about sexual assaults and grabbing women by their privates. Let me get it. You've insulted, denigrated, and debased women. You've encouraged religious bigotry against Muslims. You've insulted, stereotyped, and disparaged, quote, Mexicans, unquote, as rapists, criminals, and murderers. Yet, because you made promises to these religious people and showed them all the kingdoms of the world as part of the package, they, in effect, fell down and worshiped you. Becoming willfully blind, here's what they had to do in order to go along with your program and gain your favor. He walks like a duck, he quacks like a duck, he looks like a duck, therefore he must be a chicken. He was the opposite of everything that Jesus talked about. And if you watched him just the other day, he, like an evangelist, said, you Christians must get out and vote. And if you vote this one time, you'll never have to vote again. And he let the cat out of the bag. There is a document 900 pages long put out by the Heritage Foundation called Document 2025 for the year. They hope Trump will win. It talks about how they're going to dismantle democracy, voting, government agencies like the Department of Education and so forth, and turn America into something nobody even imagined could happen. But that's what Trump did. And also, you know what the hypocrite did? He had a Bible printed called the Trump Bible, and he put the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution in the book, even though Revelation said, whoever adds to this book or takes away from it, to him shall be added the plagues spoken of in this book, meaning the Bible. Trump hasn't read it, so he didn't know that that's what it said. So he was selling the Bible. St. Mark 10. To top it all off, these so-called Christians ignored Jesus' caution. Trump boasted about being a billionaire, didn't he? It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. But he's the one leading these Christians now out of the wilderness into the swamp. You are the master manipulator. You could teach Satan himself a thing or two. Is it becoming increasingly evident, Donnie, why I throw praise your way? Donald Trump as Teflon Politico. Donnie, I deal in analogies. You are the political equivalent of the late mafia kingpin John J. Gotti, with whom you share a middle initial. He came to be known as the Teflon Don because nothing stuck in terms of charges for various and sundry criminal activities ranging from murder and kidnapping to bribery. A natty dresser, that means out of sight, impeccably dressed, enamored of or in love with sartorial elegance, and kidnapping was one thing he did. Bribery was something he did. Murder was something he did. But he was dubbed the Dapper Don because of how well he dressed, and the Teflon Don because nothing stick. He worked his way up through the ranks, and I wanted to educate Trump about the kind of criminal element he was a part of. And most people are unaware of these things in the specificity that I use here. He worked his way up through the ranks from petty crook to captain in the Gambino crime family, the best organized and most powerful crime outfit in the country at that time. In 1985, the Teflon Don took over the operation after he ordered the rubbing out of then top dog Paul Castellano. Poor Paul met his maker as he exited a Manhattan steakhouse, indicating that consuming too much red meat may be detrimental to one's health. Finally, Boss Gotti's luck ran out, and his Teflon veneer was perforated when fellow mobster Sammy the Bull Gravano turned into Sammy the Rat, as stool pigeons were known in the rackets, and testified against Gotti in a deal with the feds. In 1992, a baker's dozen of charges stuck, including murder and racketeering, and the no longer Teflon Don swapped sartorial elegance for prison togs and took up residency at the federal big house in Marion, Illinois. He contracted throat cancer, was transferred to a medical facility for federal prisoners in Springfield, Missouri, and was harvested by the Grim Reaper June 10, 2002, at the age of 61. Thusly did the Teflon Don, born in the Bronx October 27, 1940, meet his Waterloo. A major difference between you and Gotti is that you were born at the top, and the only thing you know about real work was that people of the lower order did it. Thus, another point at which you are due praise for your savvy or cunning. You managed to rally to your cause the very people toward whom you harbor contempt and distaste, the great unwashed hordes. You would never socialize with them, rub elbows with them, and certainly would never dream of inviting them to dinner. Your slogan would be, "Guess who didn't and will not come to dinner?" The juncture where you and the Teflon Don meet is that in the same way that criminal charges did not stick to him, political opposition, criticism, condemnation, etc., have not stuck to you, no matter the quarter from which they emanated. On the other hand, you are unable to stake claim to sartorial elegance to your ill-fitting big suits, so Dapper Don you are not. In fact, you could be dubbed Trumpelstiltskin, but one of the two ain't bad, is it? Whereas some people dream the impossible dream, you revel in and thrive on the unstickable political negatives that would demolish any other politician. You are more Teflon than was Gotti and a more accomplished escape artist than Houdini. These are some of the headlines. Romney blasts Trump as a phony, a fraud, and a danger. Few experienced GOP strategists willing to work with Trump. 3, hypocrisy is Trump's campaign. 4, Trump's new slogan has old baggage from Nazi era. 5, Mexican president says Trump's language is like that of Hitler. 6, villains grow as Trump polls slide. 7, Priebus ducks questions about Trump's character. 8, Trump used charity money to buy sports memorabilia. 9, Republicans say don't donate to Trump. 10, Gary Johnson, a top Republican in the House. Trump is clearly a racist. 11, star tweet haunts Trump. Some ugly stuff he put out there. 12, Trump dismisses attacks. 13, GOP reaches new level of panic over Trump. 14, Trump may delay release of tax returns. 15, GOP big shots turn on Trump over judge attack. 16, the huckster populist. I gotta hurry right along. Let me touch on something that is very much worthy of note. The story can be told mostly by way of newspaper articles. The first article is dated February 22nd, 2016, Omaha World Herald, and says in pertinent part, presidential election. Trump says Ricketts family is against me. Donald Trump took aim at the Ricketts family Monday after it was disclosed that Marlene Ricketts, the wife of Joe Ricketts, was behind an anti-Trump super PAC that pummeled Trump via direct mail pieces in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. Trump issued a veiled threat against the family on his famous Twitter account, accusing them of, quote, secretly, unquote, spending money against his presidential bid. For the record, Rick's donation was publicly disclosed over the weekend by the Federal Election Commission. Trump's tweet, quote, "I hear the Ricketts family who own the Chicago Cubs are secretly spending money against me. They better be careful. They have a lot to hide," exclamation point, end of quote. Marlene Ricketts fired back through a spokesman, saying Trump was too unpredictable to be president. Marlene Ricketts shares the disappointment of many Trump supporters who believe that our leaders in Washington have failed us, and also believes our next president must be a principled leader. In her view, Donald Trump has not been a consistent conservative and therefore would be unpredictable as our party leader. That's what Brian Baker, an advisor to the Ricketts family, said to the public. Marlene Ricketts gave $3 million to a super PAC known as Our Principles PAC. It was created in January with the help of Katie Packer, a former aide to Mitt Romney in his 2012 presidential campaign. Ricketts is married to Joe Ricketts, the founder of TD Ameritrade, a successful online trading company. She and Joe Ricketts are the parents of Pete Ricketts, the governor of Nebraska. Continuing. Being rich, my writing now, being rich and accustomed to having their way, the Ricketts family failed to take time to find out who they were messing with, didn't they, Donnie? The article contains the warning you issued about them having something to hide. It reminds me of a situation where the housekeeper of an archbishop was of the opinion that skeletons are found in every family's closet. To test her theory, she wrote with lipstick on the mirror used by the archbishop when he shaved each morning, quote, "I know your secret," unquote. Before an hour elapsed, he disappeared and was never seen or heard from again. I don't know whether or not you had the goods on the Ricketts clan, but look what appeared in the World Herald September 21st. Ricketts family to donate to pro-Trump effort. And this is the headline here. Joe Ricketts until now. Donald Trump isn't fit for the most important job in the world. If you believe America deserves better, vote against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is too reckless and dangerous to be president. Then it says, Joe Ricketts now. Proud to support Trump and Pence and other Republican leaders who will push for conservative policy solutions. Ricketts' money now backs Trump. Very praiseworthy. One of the baddest members of the dinosaur family was the Tyrannosaurus Rex, which translated King of the Clan, known as T-Rex. After the way you kicked the Ricketts family, pardon the expression, rump, they probably refer to you among themselves as T-Rump. Considering that you made any number of political big shots and hot shots, turn around, a little ode to T-Rump is in order. Ricketts's, Paul Ryan, Ted Cruz, and Mark Rubio, Nick Gingrich, Christie, et al. Are all of those who backed up and knelt down. This is the ode I wrote to you, Donnie. You made them falter and brought them to heel. Then at your altar, you forced them to kneel. Did the change consist of stealing my gesture? The headline is Trump made a big campaign change. You can't really make that out, it's too small, but it shows Trump with his hands like this in front of his chest, and I was standing like this when I was speaking before the legislature. Under my picture it says, Senator Ernie Chambers makes a point during debate on the floor of the legislature in February. Chambers is seen as the master of the filibuster in the legislature. Under Trump, above Trump's head, it says, Trump made a big campaign change. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump speaks during a campaign rally Wednesday. I know you have better things to do than to read a letter about yourself. But as you lick your wounds after the election, You may find solace or comfort by comparison in reading this. That was my letter to your president, who won that time, Donald Trump. Now, I don't know how much time I have left. I'm going to try to get something out. Now, I cannot sing, but I write rhymes, and I did write a song if I can find it. I was given a commission by a mortician to write a national anthem for those who plant them. And this is sung to the tune of My Favorite Things. I can't sing, but I can approximate it. This is the mortician's national anthem. Corpses, corpses, condolences, flowers a coffin, black curtain hearse that they carry you off in, tombstones and epitaphs with verbal slings. These are a few of our favorite things. Churches and eulogies, pallbearers, mourners, weeping and wailing in all the church corners, choirs droning dirges that make grown men cry. These are the things that take place when folks die. Fine embalming keeps the corpse fresh, add some makeup too. Then a good service lends just the right touch, and all of this waits for you. Graves freshly dug with stone vaults placed inside them. Caskets are placed in those vaults that do hide them. Florists, morticians, grave diggers, and such. These are your servants who thank you so much. Row up on row rest the graveyard's residers. Someday all out here will all be insiders. Here is the truth which each person does know. We shall all help make that populace grow. When the last dirt tops the casket and the grave is filled, we shall not gather again in this way until someone else is chilled. And as Elvis would say, thank you very much. That's what I decided I would bring to you today. And if you all watch Donald Trump, if you have two brain cells working, will wonder how a man like him can be taken seriously. As I stated, they're trying to make fun of Kamala Harris's first name, but by the time she gets through with them, they'll see her as Calamity Jane. This woman was a federal prosecutor. She was the first female attorney general in California. She stated, and it's true, she knows how to deal with convicted felons, and that's what Trump is, a convicted felon, a liar. He sexually assaulted a woman and was made to pay a multi-million judgment for saying she lied. That's outstanding. He falsified financial records to trick banks into lending him money that the property he had would not support or back up as collateral. Because he is a convicted felon in whatever state it was, maybe Massachusetts, he had, or Delaware anyway, he had a license to carry a concealed weapon, and that was revoked. And when it was revoked, somebody said, well, I guess he'll have to use an unlicensed weapon if he's going to stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, which is what he said he could do, and it wouldn't change a vote against him. The voting time is less than 100 days away. If you're not registered, register, and then vote. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. If I was a crook like Donald Trump, I'd figure a way to vote 100 times for her. She is, in my opinion, going to be the next president of the United States. She will bring the dignity back to women that Trump did so much to destroy. She will give women, through her efforts, the right to determine what they will do with their own bodies. They will not be dictated to by the federal government. So Kamala Harris is going to name her running mate soon. And Tuesday, they're going to hit the campaign trail. Stay tuned. Watch carefully. Pay close attention. And when you mark that ballot, mark it for the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris. That's what I intend to do. I believe that I've reached the point where I'll say what the canary said when he found out the cage door to his cage was unlocked. I'm out of here.
You've been watching The Ernie Chambers Show. If you'd like to leave suggestions, email us at ewcfacts@gmail.com. That's ewcfacts@gmail.com. This is an EWC Communications production.